Warren Chapman. I am the co-founder of the Institute for Policy and Civic Engagement. I currently serve as an advisor, or as some people think of me, as a thought leader here at the Institute. Well, trying to define civic engagement, there's a lot of different meanings that float around out there. So I'm going to give you sort of my take on it, which is in society, you have individuals and communities, you have government, and you have commerce, business, and it's the intersection between the individuals and communities and government and commerce where things from the community standpoint or personal standpoint could be better. And people want to strive for a better community or a better way of life or improving what is there for everyone in their community. And they decide they want to do something about it. And to me, civic engagement is that effort where those individuals or groups decide to approach government, either individually or collectively, to improve the quality of what is out there. Now that could be an act of activism, it could be advocacy, it could be just community service, volunteering to do something, clean up the community. It could be educating the members of the community and government about the issues that are in front of them. And it could also be electoral process, getting people registered to vote and people out there to vote. But it also could be public arts. So there's a lot of different ways to look at civic engagement in that context. But for me, it's really wherever you find people who are trying to improve the quality of life for themselves, their neighbors, and their community, and are approaching government, elected and appointed officials to sort of work with them, identify the issues, and figure out solutions to those issues. Wow. Well, I think the election coming up is going to have a lot to say about civic engagement going forward. I think as we live in a democracy and we need to have an informed and engaged citizenry to make a healthy democracy work well. But I think some of the issues that we have and challenges that we have to deal with right today and going forth, I think we have to rebuild transparency and trust of citizens in their government in some form or another. I also think we have to develop a healthier sense of deliberate engagement between people and their government, between people and communities, and then recognize that everyone has a voice, and those voices need to be heard and respected and incorporated into the conversation that's out there. And I think we need to also improve the civic skills of individuals in their communities for them to be able to think critically. Their thoughts are important, but you have to think in a critical manner. You can't just read something and say that's correct without thinking about, well, what are the implications of what is being said? Is the facts here really accurate? Is the data correct? Is it biased? And if it is, we need to be able to identify those things. I also think we need to enhance people's understanding and knowledge of the political systems, how they work, how maybe they don't work, who they benefit and who they don't benefit, and really begin to understand as we approach that democracy is not going to be a one-size-fits-all. Democracy is not something you just take for granted and just say, oh, someone else will take care of it. No, democracy is something that we as individuals, individually and collectively, have to take care of and have to foster and have to do it. It's like raising a child. You just can't give birth and just say, well, the kid will take care of himself. No, you have to nurture and bring up and create some values and understand what love is and enhance the individual development of that child over time. And I think that's what democracy, in a sense, needs to be nurtured and continue to grow and continue to be supported. I also think we have to deal with an issue that's there and not many people talk about. It's what I call civic deserts, places where people are not engaged in the conversation about what's going on, but are asked to vote or not to vote. That they don't become participants in this democracy. And I think it's important. I'm not going to tell them how to vote, who to vote for, but I think they should vote. I think they should be understanding the issues. I think they should understand what is fact and what is fiction, and they should be able to make up their own mind and make a decision as they cast their vote or as they become engaged in the community to help us solve these long-standing problems. Well, I think that they need to become aware of the issues that are important to them and their community. I think they need to just don't knee-jerk a reaction. I think they should spend some time thinking about them, studying, reading, sort of doing their homework on an issue, and really help them to make up their own minds and to talk to people and to have that deliberate conversations about what's there, what needs to change, and what's the best way to change it that would be of benefit, not just to one individual, but a collective group of people in the community itself. So I think it's how you decide you want to become engaged, where you want to become engaged, and how do you do that in a way that isn't done selfishly, but is done with the thought of mind of helping your neighbor, helping each other to do that. And I think that's the advice I would give them. And also to be thoughtful. Don't just hear someone say something and just believe what they say is correct. Do some homework on it. Think about it, discuss it, and then come up with your own opinions about it. There's a lot of misinformation out there that goes on that is done purposely for someone else's best interest, not of the best interest of the people who are being told this is what's going on and this is what you should do. I think you should learn to make up your own mind about it. We don't have enough time to really. There's a lot of people. First God, and then my family, my parents, my grandparents. I have aunts and uncles. I will say my wife has been a big influence. She's also an educator like myself, and we sort of share this sort of notion of camaraderie and good spirit and belief in helping and supporting other people. I'd have to go back and say professional influences. A guy named John Troike, who I met just on a whim. He used to be head of the Boy Scouts of America, and I didn't know him when I met him. He didn't try and sell that to me, but he was into camping, and he knew I was just finishing art school. He hired me to run an arts program at a camp for the Chicago Youth Centers. And he taught me a lot about people and fundraising and working with very important high-place individuals and working with them, how to get things done. I Jim Anderson, my advisor in graduate school, my art teachers, sculpture teachers. Bill Trent was my dissertation director, and then just people I work with. I've met some really amazing folks in my career. I learned a lot from people, and that's what I continue to do is I meet people and I try and see, what can I learn from this individual? So maybe thousands of people contributed to my influencing my career and my thinking, and people still do. Even my students, when I taught, even students I run in today at the Institute have an impact on what I'm thinking about and how I think about it. So I'm continuing to learn, and that influences me on a daily basis. I don't think that the issues that are out there that we face every day are ever going to totally be resolved and solved. And I recognize that, at least in my lifetime, but I really like to prepare other people younger than myself who are going to be faced with these issues for a long time to help them to get the skills and the knowledge, prepare them to go out there and face those issues also and look for solutions. So, what I try and do is to help pass on some knowledge and information, give other people a sense of whose shoulders are they standing on as they continue to advance, and be willing to help other people who are younger than them come through and share that wisdom and that knowledge. So it's that sharing of wisdom and knowledge and getting excited about when a student really begins to discover something and learn something and says, wow, the light comes on and they say, hey, I'm beginning to see this now. It's that moment that they turn it on. It's that moment of creativity that inspires me. And I just continue to try and help light those lights and create that sparks that are out there. I think that's what motivates me. This coffee has a little cream and some sugar in it, and it's stirred well. And that's pretty much how I like to take my coffee. Now, if it's a weekend and I'm not going anywhere, I could definitely take a shot of something in here for medicinal purposes, especially in the winter, but without sugar. Those are the two ways I take my coffee.